She was top 4 in MVP voting, and that's not a fan vote. That's her greatness.
In order for you to be the face of the league, you first have to be one of the best players in the league, comparable to an Asia Wilson.
Sandy Brondello was asked, what are the 2 hardest players to scout? She said Asia and Caitlin.
Clark, a deep
Caitlin Clark did not need a long speech to tell Indiana Fever fans how she feels about free agency, because after the first 2 days of movement, the message was already obvious. Indiana is not playing around anymore. Kelsey Mitchell is back. Lexie Hull is back. Sophie Cunningham is back. Monique Billings is in. Tyasha Harris gives them stability behind Clark. And suddenly, what looked like a promising young team now looks a lot more like a team trying to win right now.
Got some news coming out again, super late, man. Make sure y'all have them bells on and subscribe to the channel. We're coming with real live updates, man. I damn near went live for this one. So the Indiana Fever just made a big time move on their roster. They made a change to the roster, man. They have confirmed pretty much that Kelsey Mitchell will be staying. Now, the details of Kelsey Mitchell contract has not been released to the public yet. Lexie Hall has not been released to the public yet. What type of deal she got? Now, I know a lot of people want to know what's going on with Sophie Cunningham, Natasha Howard, and Bree Turner, and so many other players that was on the 2025 roster. Today was like the first day of free agency. We really haven't heard anything. People mad at the WNBA reporters. Y'all got to realize, bro, we kicking their ass with these YouTube videos.
And honestly, that is exactly why Caitlin Clark should be fired up, because this was not random. This was not Indiana making moves just to say they were active. This was Indiana building a roster that actually fits around Clark's pace, her vision, and the way she changes the game. And once you look closely at how this all unfolded, especially with Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull, it becomes really hard not to see what is happening here. The Fever are making a very clear bet. They believe their championship window is opening right now. It all starts with Kelsey Mitchell. Before fans even got to the Sophie Cunningham drama, Indiana made the most important move possible by bringing Mitchell back on a 1-year Supermax deal.
So, in what should be a surprise to nobody, Kelsey Mitchell has signed the 1-year Supermax. Yep, she signed the 1-year Supermax. I don't think it affects the Fever this year. Like, this is it. This is it for the Indiana Fever. She signed a 1-year Supermax, which means she cannot be traded. Which means she is playing the season for the Fever. And
that matters for 2 reasons. First, because of who Mitchell is. Second, because of what that 1-year deal says. Mitchell stayed through the worst years. She stayed through 5 win seasons. She kept producing when Indiana was nowhere near contention. And now, after an all WNBA season, after finishing near the top of the league in scoring and threes made, she had every reason to explore her options. But she came back. That is not just loyalty. That is belief.
1-year deal is perfect. Run it back with the big 3. Kelsey Mitchell will be off the books when it's time to pay Caitlin. We need a splash signing at the 4 or Azura Stevens. Then it's really go time. AB is eligible for the big contract after her 4th year. That's this season. Caitlin Clark's eligible for the big contract after her 4th year. That's after next season. Kelsey Mitchell will be off the books by then. So what Kelsey Mitchell's making this year won't affect Aaliyah Boston's big payday. This gives the Indiana Fever flexibility moving forward. EA puts it very nice right here. 1-year deal gives us the ultimate flexibility. If you want to move in a different direction next year, you can. Excellent move by the Fever front office. Now let's go get this ring. I think a 1-year deal is great.
And the 1-year structure tells you both sides think this thing is close. Players who want long-term safety usually chase longer deals. Players who think their team is about to break through bet on the short term and trust the outcome will pay off later. That is what this feels like. And when you put Mitchell next to Caitlin Clark, the logic is obvious. Clark's passing makes Mitchell even more dangerous, and Mitchell's shooting gives Clark more room to operate. That backcourt already looks like one of the best combinations in the league, and Indiana made sure it stayed together. Then came one of the smartest moves of the entire stretch, even if casual fans may not realize it yet. Monique Billings.
Indy, what's good? It's your girl Mo Bills. I am so thrilled to be a part of the Indiana Fever.
ready to get to work with my team, championship mindset, mentality, hustle, grit, all of those things that Indiana basketball stands for. I'm excited to be a part of it. Excited to play in front of the amazing fans as well. And y'all got to put me on the food spots in Indy. Y'all know I like to eat. Let me know where the spots are. I'll see y'all soon. Let's get it.
This is the kind of signing that tells you Indiana actually understands what makes Clark dangerous. Billings is not a theoretical fit. She is already a proven fit. She played with Clark during USA basketball competition in Puerto Rico, and the chemistry was obvious. Clark found her repeatedly for easy finishes, including Billings' first points in a USA uniform. Stephanie White saw that in person, which makes the timing here feel even more deliberate.
All right. Finally, it appears Amber Cox has a pulse, y'all. She finally doing something, getting something done, even though there's much more to do. This is great news. This player was on my list of forwards / centers, whatever you want to call her, that the Indiana Fever needed to be taking a serious look at. She was Caitlin Clark's pick and roll partner at Team USA while Caitlin Clark was winning MVPs. They showed great chemistry together already, and the Indiana Fever appears to have found Caitlin Clark's backup point guard. Finally, Amber Cox is doing some sort of work around here. Finally, I don't know if somebody had to knock on the office window. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and she finally woke up and started getting a little bit of damn work done. Shout out to Roberta, who had this on X. Monique Billings took a meeting with the New York Liberty, but should sign with the Indiana Fever, I'm being told. Hashtag WNBA free agency. Shout out to Roberta on this one, man. Monique Billings appears to be signing with the Indiana Fever, and we could already see the chemistry she had with Caitlin Clark at Team USA. Okay, she understood her role. She knew how to finish out of the pick and roll. All of that good stuff that we was looking for from our starting power forward last season that was talking about winning MVPs and all types of nonsense. Hopefully that is dead.
And the reason Billings works is simple. She runs, she finishes. She does not need the ball all the time. She does not slow the game down. That matters because Clark is at her most dangerous when the game is moving fast, when she can push in transition, force the defense to react, and reward players who cut, sprint, and finish. Billings fits that style naturally. Indiana did not just add a player. They added a player who makes Caitlin Clark easier to build around. But the moment that really changed the mood for fans was Lexie Hull.
Lexie Hull is re-signing with the Fever, as she shared in a TikTok with Caitlin Clark. Yes, that is how the news broke. Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull went on TikTok and released a video. An unsurprising move for Indiana, who sent her a restricted qualifying offer earlier this week. It's being reported that multiple teams went after Lexie Hull, multiple teams talked to Lexie Hull, but at the end of the day, she wasn't leaving Caitlin Clark, and it is on a multi-year deal. Hull is returning to Indianapolis on a multi-year deal. Sources confirm she expressed interest with staying with the Fever after her rookie deal finished, and now she's here for the long run. Demon back, let's go.
Because Lexie's return was not just announced, it was rolled out in a way that felt different. At the Masters, Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull dropped a TikTok together, and right away it felt bigger than a normal roster update. It felt like chemistry, it felt like confidence, it felt like a team that already knows what it has.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, she's back.
And Hull matters more than people give her credit for. She is tough. She is versatile. She can defend across multiple spots. She has played through physical punishment that would sideline a lot of players. And she brings exactly the kind of grit a Caitlin Clark team needs on the wing. That is the part people miss.
This is a multi-year deal, so we won't have to worry about this going forward. Kelsey Mitchell got a 1-year deal. Lexie Hull, multi-year deal. I'm telling y'all, this is Kelsey's last year. Hull is signing a multi-year deal to the Fever. I'm told she was a popular free agent who weighed several options but opted to return to Indiana and keep their young core together. Hull is signing a multi-year deal. This is courtesy of Alexa Philippou, ESPN. Listen, I'm glad. I feel like they're starting to understand the vision a little bit. Multi-year deal for Lexie Hall is what I always wanted. Lock her in for years down the line with Caitlin Clark. They got that magical chemistry. Lexie Hall does all the dirty work that a lot of people don't want to do, and you always need a dirty work player to step in and get the job done.
Hull is not just an energy player. She is a connective piece. She defends, she competes, she shoots, and she brings a level of toughness that changes the tone of lineups. So when she came back, Indiana did not just keep a role player. They kept one of the culture pieces that makes this whole thing work. But then came the moment that really got fans talking. Because buried in the comments around Hull's announcement was Caitlin Clark tagging Sophie Cunningham. And instantly, everybody started doing the math.
I think that's why this Lexie Hall thing took a while, because she had offers. She had offers on the table. She was weighing her options, but ultimately she realized the best thing for me is to be in Indiana with Caitlin Clark. And look who, oh my God. Oh, Sophie is in the comments. Sophie is ready to sign back too. Sophie is ready to sign back too. Wow. She's in the comments. This is the no invite is crazy. You two better make up for this horrible TikTok. Wow. Sophie is about to re-sign as well. Sophie's on her way back, y'all. I can feel it in the air. I could feel it in the air. Sophie is on her way back.
If Sophie was coming back, why was she not officially announced yet? Why tease it? Why leave that question hanging? That is where the story gets interesting, because Clark did not accidentally pull Sophie into that moment. These players clearly know more than the public knows in real time. And Sophie's response did not sound like somebody nervous about her future. It sounded like somebody already in on the joke. That matters, because it turns the whole situation from uncertainty into strategy. And once Sophie Cunningham officially returned, the picture became much clearer. Indiana was not hesitating on Sophie. Indiana was evaluating everything else first. According to the transcript, the Fever were looking closely at bigger front court options before finalizing how they wanted to spend. They were weighing the cost of more expensive additions against the value of keeping the core intact and preserving flexibility. That is a disciplined front office.
Oh, I did this last year when I was banging the drum for Sophie to be in the three-point contest and not Lexie. I went back and looked at the stats, and there was about a 25-game period where Sophie was the best three-point shooter on the Indiana Fever. She was the one knocking down shots and had a higher shooting percentage from three-point range. So, never mind the enforcer, never mind the toughness, all this other thing. She can knock down a shot. She can grab a big rebound, a timely rebound. She's a really good piece. Her and Lexie Hall are really valuable pieces.
A lot of teams get caught chasing names. Indiana did not do that. They looked at bigger price tags, looked at the fit, and decided not to overpay for a move that might make headlines but weaken the roster balance. That decision matters because it freed them to bring Sophie back on a more team-friendly deal and still keep room to address the front court later. And Sophie choosing to stay says something too. She could have explored the market. She could have chased a different opportunity. Instead, she bet on this group. That tells you the belief inside this team is real. So now step back and look at the whole picture. Clark, Mitchell, Hull, Cunningham, Tyasha Harris, Billings, Boston, and still room for one more important front court addition. That is not a random collection of names. That is a roster with actual role clarity. Mitchell gives elite scoring. Clark drives the engine. Hull and Cunningham bring toughness and defense. Harris can settle things when Clark sits. Billings adds pace and finishing. Boston remains the interior anchor. And because Indiana did not waste money early, they still have a chance to add the final piece that makes the front court more complete. That part matters a lot because Boston cannot be asked to do everything. She cannot protect the rim, battle through foul trouble, clean the glass, and cover every weakness by herself for an entire season. Indiana still needs more size or more front court support depending on what direction they choose. The transcript points to several possible profiles, whether that means defense, length, rim protection, or more floor spacing. The exact name matters less than the idea. The Fever still have flexibility because they kept their discipline. And that may be the biggest takeaway from all of this. Indiana did not just win the first wave of free agency because they kept good players. They won it because they resisted bad spending, doubled down on chemistry, and built around Caitlin Clark's style instead of forcing stars into a bad fit. That is why Clark should be fired up, because this roster makes sense. Mitchell stayed, Hull stayed, Sophie stayed, Billings fits, Harris fills a need, and the Fever still are not done. This team is deeper, this team is tougher, and this team looks much more intentional than it did just a few days ago. So now the question is not whether Indiana had a good free agency start. The question is whether the rest of the league fully understands what the Fever are building around Caitlin Clark. Because if this is only the beginning, that should make everybody nervous. And if you are an Indiana Fever fan, you have every reason to be excited. What was Indiana's best move of free agency? Was it bringing back Sophie Cunningham, keeping Lexie Hull, or locking in Kelsey Mitchell? Let me know in the comments, and if you are still watching, drop Fever up in the comments.
Sarah's the one player on the team, because she can play inside and outside, that poses the most difficult matchup for the other teams.
Sarah Strong takes it all the way. Cooper gets denied by the freshman Strong.
Sarah Strong might be the most important young player in women's basketball right now, not because she is trying to be Caitlin Clark, and not because she plays like Caitlin Clark, but because she is becoming the kind of star the sport can build around next.
Tracks it, but it's whacked away by El Alfie. Here comes the freshman Sarah Strong. Sarah Strong digs in and lays it home. A good plus in the Elite Eight. Chin to Strong. She got it.
From that area where she completely dominates under the cylinder.
Now something to watch, Rebecca. Now Strong is the 5 in this lineup as Strong cut it. LA. Flood lobs it in. Chen, what a feed. And Strong.
That is the real story here. After Caitlin Clark changed the scale of attention in women's basketball, everyone started looking for the next player who could feel that big, that important, that undeniable. And right now, Sarah Strong looks like one of the best answers anyone has. She just won the 2026 AP Women's College Basketball Player of the Year award after leading UConn to an undefeated 38-0 season. And that alone tells you this is no normal sophomore season.
To women's hoops, where Sarah Strong and UConn have completed a perfect 31-0 regular season. The Huskies have won 47 in a row, tied for the 5th longest win streak in Division I history. The number 1 team in the nation isn't just winning, they are crushing teams, winning by an average of almost 38 points a game.
What makes Sarah so interesting is that she does not arrive with the same kind of chaos Caitlin did. Caitlin Clark was noise, range, highlights, arguments, and endless attention all at once. Sarah Strong feels different. She feels calmer, sharper, more complete. She is the kind of player who does everything well enough that you almost stop noticing how ridiculous it is. UConn lists her at 6'2", and this season she has averaged 18.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 3.4 steals, and 1.6 blocks per game. That is not one-dimensional dominance. That is complete control over a basketball game, and maybe that is the first thing that separates her from most young stars. Sarah Strong does not need one signature skill to make people care. She beats teams in too many ways. UConn says she leads the nation in player efficiency, win shares, defensive win shares, and defensive rating. Against top 25 opponents, she averaged 20.3 points, 10 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 3.6 steals per game. So this is not empty production built against weak teams. The bigger the stage gets, the stronger the numbers look.
Not gonna lie, like, Sarah Strong is, no question about it, the best female college player since Caitlin Clark. And when it's all said and done, she might be the best UConn player ever. Like, she could be. That's not a crazy thing. That sounds like a crazy thing to say when Stewie is UConn. Stewie is the one player that I would say has the strongest argument against Caitlin Clark for the best individual player ever.
That is one of the clearest signs of a future superstar. Her background matters too, because Sarah Strong was not some surprise breakout. She arrived at UConn as the #1 ranked recruit, the 2024 Naismith High School Player of the Year, a McDonald's All-American, and a 2-time North Carolina Miss Basketball and Gatorade North Carolina Player of the Year. UConn says she led Grace Christian School to 3 state titles and averaged 21 points, 16.8 rebounds, 4.6 assists, and 2.8 steals in high school. In other words, the expectations were already massive before she ever played a college game. That part matters because great players are one thing. Great players who actually live up to impossible expectations are something else entirely. At UConn, the standard is brutal. You are not just asked to be good. You are asked to belong in the same world as the biggest names in the sport. Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, Paige Buchers. That is the environment Sarah walked into, and instead of looking overwhelmed by it, she has started to look like the center of it. AP reported that Gino Auriemma called her the heart and soul of the team, and when a UConn coach says that about a player this early, people notice. This is where the Caitlin Clark comparison becomes useful, but only if you use it the right way. Sarah Strong is not Caitlin Clark. She does not have the same style, the same shot profile, or the same public identity. Caitlin bent games with range and volume. Sarah bends them with balance. Caitlin felt like an offensive explosion. Sarah feels like a machine with no weakness. So the comparison is not really about play style. It is about significance. It is about whether a player feels big enough to carry the future conversation of the sport. Sarah already does. And the scary part is, she is still early in the story. She is only a sophomore. ESPN ranked her #1 in its preseason top 25 player rankings before this season even began, which meant the whole sport already saw this coming. Then she somehow exceeded that level of hype. She hit 1,000 career points in only her 59th game, which AP said made her the 3rd fastest player in UConn history to reach that mark. Again, that is not normal. That is the sort of pace that makes people stop talking about potential and start talking about legacy. There is also something important about how she is being talked about now. ESPN's recent Final Four feature was not just about her numbers. It was about how she found her voice inside a team full of expectations. Paige Buchers said Sarah's biggest flaw is her unselfishness, and also called that her superpower. That is a very telling description because it explains why Sarah can sometimes feel quieter than other stars while still completely taking over games. She is not chasing moments. She is building them through winning basketball. That makes her incredibly marketable in a different way. Caitlin Clark became a lightning rod. Sarah Strong looks more like the next great winner, the next player who can become the standard for completeness, poise, and dominance at the highest level. That matters because women's basketball does not need every new star to be a Caitlin copy. It needs new stars who feel undeniable for their own reasons. Sarah already fits that description better than almost anyone in the country. And once you stack all of it together, the case gets hard to ignore. #1 recruit, UConn star, undefeated season, AP Player of the Year, Naismith Trophy winner, national leader in advanced impact stats, historic efficiency, huge production against elite teams. This is not just a player having a great year, this is a player building the kind of resume that can define an era if it continues. So no, Sarah Strong is not the next Caitlin Clark. That is too small a way to frame her. The better question is whether Sarah Strong is becoming the next great pillar of women's basketball in her own image. A player who may not create the same kind of noise, but could create just as much gravity. Because right now, she is not just trending. She is not just rising. She is already here, already winning, and already forcing the sport to imagine what comes next around her. If you're still watching, drop Strong Era in the comments.